Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Random Episode. This is the podcast where we watch a random episode of a TV show from a random series that neither of us have watched before. I'm Varn.
And I'm Christy.
And as always, we'd like to give credit for our amazing intro song to our friend Large Jesus. Thank you, Large Jesus. This week, we are talking about the show Doc Martin. This is Season 3, Episode 6, Nowt So Queer. It aired on October 29th, 2007 on, I believe, ITV in the UK. Now, Christy, what did you know about this show before watching it?
I am going to be honest with you. I've never heard anything about this show. This was probably the most random selection we have ever done and will ever do. I don't know. But definitely have never heard of it. You did tell me that this was British television. So I also don't really have context for British TV. So I'm like flying blind here. So I just, not a lot of context for me. What about you?
Yeah, when I am responsible for this one, I did choose it. And I just chose it. I did search for British TV. I was like, let's give that a shot this time. And this just happened to come up. So I was like, sure, why not? Let's go for it. So then I guess then another question is, what has been your experience with British television show in general?
That's a great
current era of British TV.
What does pre-current era mean? I feel like I've
like
never
Bridgerton.
Well, that's not British though, right? I mean, well, let's define British. Like, is it people who have British accents are in the show, or like this is truly a British made, like on BritBox show?
Let's do that. BritBox.
Okay, well, if that's your question, literally none. Except, I don't know if this counts as British television, but I'm obsessed with Love Island UK, and I just binged Love is Blind UK. So if we're talking about British-made shows, reality, obviously, that's where I'm at. But other than that, like I've literally, I don't know, is Downton Abbey British?
Yes.
Okay, so sure, Downton Abbey then. Like that's literally it. I feel like I have no experience with British comedy. Did you watch the original Office?
I have watched it, but only after, becoming obsessed with
See,
American
we
Office.
both love the American Office, and I never even have seen the British.
You never even given it a shot?
Like I've literally never watched, I don't think, a British comedy until now.
Well, quick aside, since we are both Office fans, do you know that they are making an Australian version? I don't know when this episode is going to be dropping, but it's going to be coming next month apparently.
Really?
On Amazon.
I don't know. Okay. I also am I'm like not into Australian television either. So I don't know if that appeals to me. I don't know. Okay. We'll see. Sure.
Anyway, well, for me, I grew up watching on PBS, I believe it was, because we've talked about how the limited channel selection we had.
Cable.
Not having cable growing up, but Keeping Up Appearances and, oh God, I forget the other one. But yeah, we watched a couple British shows because my parents really liked them.
Interesting.
So I think Keeping Up Appearances was from like the early 80s or 70s.
I've never even heard of that.
Oh, it's a great. I don't know if I don't know how it would hold up watching it now.
Was it a comedy?
Yes.
This is so fascinating. I just feel like I had zero context for British comedy. Like I feel like I've heard about, like people have said, oh, British comedy is so dry or whatever it is, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, well, this felt a little familiar to me, okay. Doc Martin.
Okay. Well, to me, I felt extremely unfamiliar. So this will be interesting to get into the episode.
So yeah, let's get into it then, shall we? So I think it'd be good to go, storyline by storyline here. So let's start with the top one. How about at the top of the episode, we find out that they've been engaged that Doc Martin has gotten engaged to someone named Louisa, who in the opening scene, he's kind of trying to escape from the bedroom and she's in bed and she just woke up like this because she's got full makeup on,
of course.
Hair done. And yeah, she's like, are you running away? And he's like, no, just got to get to work.
Yeah. So this was a wild beginning, first, again, people who have not been watching this show, because it's clearly making it look like this is a one night stand or something, and he's trying to like escape the next day. And I think they even said like, do you regret last night? So I was like, what is happening? Like, what is going on in this British show? And then come to find out they're engaged. So I don't know. I just feel like the whole vibe of these people is awkward. And I don't know if that's supposed to be, is that just a British thing? Like watching a couple romantically is an awkward experience?
I think it's got to be him. I think this whole thing is about him being
awkward?
Awkward.
Okay. Again, is this a British thing or is this just like this particular show?
I'm going to say it's just this particular show.
Okay. These are the types of questions I had in my mind the whole time of like, are all British comedy? Well, because then I'm assuming like the British Office is a very awkward thing, right?
Oh, yes.
So like,
yes.
Is this just a British comedy thing that the main character is awkward, or are those just the only two shows I've ever had any context for? I don't know.
No, I think it's just this one and The Office, where he is just a socially awkward guy. But then what she sees in him, I don't get. Throughout this whole episode, I'm like, what do you see in him?
That's what was baffling to me too, because she's very pretty, right? And she seems, what is she, a teacher? I think we saw her like at a school.
Headmistress.
Oh, headmistress, excuse me. So yeah, so that whole storyline of them being engaged, it's just bizarre because what's her name? Louisa. She just seems like such a nice, sweet, normal, like beloved woman, like beautiful woman in the town. And she's engaged to this like awkward weirdo. I don't know.
He's a bit of an asshole too.
Yeah, right? Like he's just not a catch. Or I mean, maybe he's rich. I don't know. Like what's the catch about him?
We did not, aside from a scene I guess was in his kitchen or something like that, we didn't see his place. We did see shots of his car. He did drive a Lexus.
Oh, good catch.
So I guess he maybe has some money.
Well, he is a doctor, right? Like I think he's the only doctor in this small town.
Yeah,
right?
That's what it seems like.
So, but also, British question, like, do doctors make a lot of money? Because, like healthcare is free. I don't know. Like, are you rich in Britain if you're a doctor? Or is that just an American thing? Do you know?
I do not know.
See, that's a question. I don't know. I just assumed like rich doctor, but it's a different healthcare system there.
It is. It really
They're not
is.
exploiting us for our money in Britain like they are in America. The doctors are not like these wealthy people just walking around with everything they have. I don't know. So
we'll have to dig into that later and see if that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But again, I just really don't see how, even like what he sees in her, like the only ever interest he shows in her or her life are really the only time he ever got excited when the topic of spending the night came up.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise he was, seemed distant in their conversations.
Yeah.
Talking about how much salt she's putting on her food and how that leads to bloating.
That was so crazy.
And
he's just so awkward.
Yeah.
Like their dinner conversation is, you're putting on a lot of salt on your food, you're going to get bloated. Like you're trying to romance this woman. What?
I don't think he's trying to romance this woman. I don't.
Yeah. But then the other part too is we find that he hasn't really told anybody about the engagement, like even like people that are close to him. So then it's, he's not even excited maybe about being engaged. He's not really like actively talking about wedding planning the way she is. So again, like what do we see in him?
I don't know. Thank goodness for Dave, the postman.
Love Dave the postman.
The gossip queen around town.
Yes.
Just telling everyone about the engagement.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then, like at some point they're going out to dinner they're like meeting for lunch or dinner or whatever. There's the one restaurant in town.
The only restaurant in town.
One restaurant in this small
only
town.
Restaurant.
And again, it's like he's not even really talking to her. I don't know. She's talking about like the type of wedding she wants and all of that. And he just doesn't seem to care.
No, he doesn't care at all.
I don't know. I would love to, I don't actually want to watch the episode before this because I don't care that much, but just like, I want to see, was the proposal, like shown? Like what was the proposal like? What led to this engagement, I'd be interested to know.
Was it like a drunken thing since he's sleeping at her place?
And they say like, do you regret it or whatever?
Right.
I don't know. Like, was this proposal intentional? I do have questions.
I get the sense that it was not a planned. I have the feeling he did not plan to propose to her.
Okay.
I do hope that they were dating for some time in a
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah, I mean, when the people in town found out because of Dave the Postman, nobody seemed like shocked to the point of like, wait, they don't even know each other, right? Like, I think it seemed like people were understanding that this is something that could have happened. So they must have been dating.
They must have.
But also, it's just weird. I don't know. Like, but also, like, who else is eligible in that town, right? Like, if you're Louisa, I mean, Dave the Postman, I don't know. No, I'm not trying to, no.
The police officer
The police
who was
officer.
providing his take on marriage advice, full of all the cliches, and then Doc provides the ultimate burn at the end, saying, "And you've been divorced for how long?"
I loved
That
that.
was
Like
great.
just saying all this sexist stuff. Yeah. So this is what I'm like. It's like you have Dave, the postman, who's just like hanging around town gossiping. You have this sexist police officer who's just saying all the cliche anti-woman, like terrible things. And then I don't know, the guys who work at the guy who's at the restaurant stealing money, right? Like who else is even eligible in this town? So maybe there's just when you live in a small town, there's only so many options. And Doc, this is my conclusion that I'm making. Doc is the best of all the options that are presented to her on this tiny town that they have.
That makes
There you go.
sense. That makes
That's
sense.
the only thing that makes sense.
She's all that's left. The only good fish left in the pond.
Oh man, so sad.
Ocean, whatever.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the woman who lived up at the farm or something, who
Yeah.
was surprised to hear that from Dave
yeah.
that Doc got engaged.
Was this his aunt? Maybe.
Oh,
It seemed like she was some sort of family member, didn't it?
she said that it was clear that she's not his mother.
Yes.
And then the grandmother's ring,
Yes.
even though they weren't related.
I don't know. That was unclear to me. So this older woman is clearly like, again, not a main character, but maybe a main character. I don't know. But she's clearly like a character who's come back throughout the show. So that's why I was assuming she's some sort of relative. And then I think she said like, oh, I don't have my own kids, so that's why I'm going to give you the ring. I don't know. Maybe I just made the assumption that she's an aunt, but it felt, I don't know, family-like.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I could see that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, she's clearly just, a character who's part of the gang in this town. I just assumed all the characters we saw are just all some sort of like regular character. I don't know if that's true. I don't know how the show works, but I just assumed that.
But it definitely had that sense where, I mean, even though there's some stakes at play here going on in this show, no one's going to die. And if anyone's going
Yeah.
to die in this show, it's going to be some random side, newly introduced character, I bet,
Yeah.
that no one knows.
Yeah.
But it just had one of those, when you're talking about, I bet it has that set cast of characters that every episode you come back, you're going to see them, and it's just going to be a happy place.
Yeah.
Kind of like our favorite show, Gilmore Girls.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't really want to
Small
compare this to Gilmore Girls because I
town.
love Gilmore Girls and I didn't love this.
I mean,
Okay, but oh my gosh, you're kind
only
of
one
right. There's only one restaurant.
restaurant.
Oh
this is
no. Wait.
had shades of Gilmore Girls to me.
Wait, no, I'm like trying to process this in my head and make it so it's not true. But you're right. It's like
The
there's
only
the one
good
restaurant.
guy in town, eligible
God.
bachelor.
Oh God.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Christy.
And Louisa like kind of looks like Lorelai. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. They've got like the one pharmacy, the one restaurant, the one school. Okay, but
This is the
oh
British
my
Gilmore
God.
Girls.
No, it is not, Bart. Do not say that. Do not say that. No, because Gilmore Girls is like actually entertaining and witty, and like nobody is incredibly socially awkward, and you can't even watch a scene because they're so awkward and uncomfortable. Like, no, the vibe. I get the small town connection. The vibe is completely different, and I will stand by that.
I bet there are a lot of people in the UK who would, disagree with you on this one.
I guess. Okay. But yeah, no, but it is like, it's like the restaurant and then it has like the three guys who work. Again, I think it's like a family owned. Like a lot of these feel family owned, right? Because it's a
Right.
small town. So like the restaurant owner, I guess, like I think one of his sons maybe was working there and then another guy. And then there's like the pharmacy. Yeah. So everybody's kind of like, I don't know. They're all just, these are the only places to go in this town, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of the restaurant, no one should be eating at this restaurant. There are sick people who are working this restaurant. Stay away. Their health code score should be like a F because, I mean, how many days were they there sick, coughing around, and they're still out there serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Yeah. Okay. So that brings us to, right, like this other main part of the show that is this cough or like this illness is going around,
Yes.
right? So yeah, I also, when was this one made? What year was this?
2007?
Okay, so pre-COVID, because again in our like post-COVID world, I'm like people are just walking around coughing all over each other, and like that's okay. Nobody's masking. Nobody's like what? So yeah, this whole episode, people are just like going around coughing all over each other, going to the doctor. I don't know. He eventually like obviously diagnoses what it is, but yeah, just like a lot of health violations that are making me feel very nervous going on.
Very, very nervous. And let's dive into this side story about, the first we meet the patient, Beth, who got a surgery on her knee, but it's not healing well. And we hear about her sister, Janet,
Yeah.
who knows a lot about this stuff because she is a scientist.
And I just love how the doctor, this is the part that I appreciated about the doc when he's like, not a doctor, scientist, not a doctor. And I was like, thank you, sir. I love that.
And yeah, it's true. And, what kind of doctor Doc Martin is also a good question. Is he just a family physician? Is he an infectious disease doctor?
Okay.
Because he knows a lot about how to quickly treat this disease very quickly.
Yeah.
And I bet this is a common theme throughout the whole show, right? I'm sure some disease pops up, infects someone in town, and Doc's there to save the day because he knows exactly what to do.
Okay, so probably the premise of the show is like some crazy ailment happens each episode, and he just is such a good doctor that he knows how to handle all of them.
That's
That
guess.
sounds right to me. Yeah, and he just knows all the ailments. Yeah. Well, and did he perform this knee surgery? Right? Like that's another question I have is he also a surgeon or is he just like the general practitioner?
No, he didn't perform the surgery.
Okay.
She went to the hospital to get the surgery done.
Oh yeah, she keeps talking about hospital.
Yes.
Also,
she's so scared.
in England, do they not say the hospital? Is this a British thing? Did you pick up on this?
I did not pick up on this.
She just kept saying, I don't want to go to hospital. I don't want to go to hospital. Like, they never say the hospital. I don't know. I could not
That
stop.
does sound like a British thing.
Right? Like I could not stop. Every time she said it, I just kept holding on to that because it was so, I don't know, unique to me. I think that must be a British thing. They just say go to hospital. Anyway. So yes, she went to hospital to get this surgery.
It was a horrible thing.
Yeah.
But she's not taking care because he is her duty of care physician.
Okay.
So that's why she went to go to him because that's a follow-up appointment. Yeah, but she is very wary because Janet knows better. Her sister knows better. And apparently there's a lot of unsavory things about Janet and or Beth and their past.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so she's not taking her antibiotics. So her knee is not healing from surgery, right? And so then there's a whole other thing about how she's like afraid of antibiotics. Okay, they kept talking about MRSA, MRSA.
Yes.
Do you know things about MRSA?
I don't
really know
anything
much.
about
I had to
MRSA.
Google it because they kept talking about how like that's why she won't take antibiotics. So did you Google it?
No.
Yeah, I Googled it and it's like something that can happen when like you get a bacterial infection that antibiotics can't heal.
Ah, okay.
So that's, I guess, a thing where people don't want to take antibiotics because there's this like strain of whatever out there that's like antibiotic resistant.
I see.
I don't know. I mean, did you talk to your wife, the research scientist, about this, Varn?
Yeah, so I did watch this with my wife, who is a research scientist, and she was very offended during this whole episode.
Oh, yes. Wait, does she? Oh, because she's a doctor. Oh.
She is a doctor.
She actually is a doctor.
She is a doctor. She has that PhD hanging up on the wall. But no, she would be the first to admit that, these doctors are the ones that we should be going to for our issues, and that she cannot answer any of our questions / my questions, because she's, of course, the first person I go to anytime I have any type of ailment whatsoever. But yeah, no, she was, offended by how they portrayed Janet in this episode.
Janet's crazy.
Oh yeah, she is crazy. She's absolutely crazy.
Like I can see why it would be offensive to not consider a doctor who's a research scientist to be a doctor, but like Janet is straight up nuts.
Yes. And let me tell you that about halfway through this episode, I noticed that this was really just giving me, for a show that came out in 2007, it was really giving me 1990s R.L. Stine Goosebumps vibes. Just from like the way that the camera work was, and the style of the show. And it also just felt like the 90s too, honestly, from the look of it all. And then right after I noted that is when we learned more about Janet's craziness and how she has to go do her work in the cellar. I'm like, dude, this is Goosebumps right here, man.
That's a great point, because again, this is what I'm wondering about the show. Is the show always like there's some creepy element, or was this just this particular episode? Because it is creepy. It's like this creepy scientist doing experiments, and every time he goes to the house, it's like creepy music and like what's happening in the basement. Do you think this is every episode, or we just got a special one?
It can't be every episode, because then that would just get old, I feel like.
Like, it wouldn't, every episode he's trying to treat a patient and they have like a creepy person in their house trying to create their own medicine.
I hope not, because this was they portrayed Janet really well, from how pale and pasty she was, and give it up to Beth, man. She did some great acting of, truly selling that she was scared and she was torn between, Janet's her sister, and she trusts her sister, but Doc's her doctor.
Yeah.
But yeah, Janet is just giving her those fungal.
Yeah, so Janet's making her own antibiotic. Like, is that, I guess I don't know enough about antibiotics, even though I literally was just like taking antibiotics, but I feel like I don't know enough to know, like, why would you need to make your own?
Because she's trying to evolve medication, because she thinks that antibiotics are not going to work anymore.
Oh, like the current antibiotics aren't good enough.
Right.
So she's making a new version that's better.
That's her thought process here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Janet.
But unfortunately, it gets to Dave the postman, who I guess comes in and hangs out with Beth because she was begging for him to finish a story.
That was weird.
Which I didn't get either. So does like Dave just come to her house and they sit, have tea?
I guess.
He tells her stories.
What else is Dave doing with his life? Just delivering mail. There's like 10 people in this town. He probably takes him like 5 minutes to deliver the mail. So what else does he do?
Can you meet? This town is massive. You see how much,
There's one restaurant.
But he has so much land he has to cover. People living off in, the sticks. He has to go deliver mail there and come back.
So like geographically.
He should be very busy.
Like geographically, it is a pretty large region that he has to cover.
Yes.
Okay, so you're right. Like, why is he spending so much time just chilling in Beth's house, telling her stories?
Because that's what he loves to do. That's probably his favorite part about the job.
Yeah, that's true. That's why you become a mailman, I guess. I don't know. In a small town? Yeah.
In a small town, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But probably why he's not a good eligible bachelor, because he's always visiting other people.
Yeah, always just like stopping in old ladies' houses to tell them stories.
I bet he gets sick all the time, how much he's stopping into other people's houses.
That's a great point. Okay, so we're, again, like, this is all, I don't know enough about, we need the research scientist, your wife, in here.
She did not want to come on this
we need a special guest to explain to us how making your own antibiotics works. But yeah, so because she's like brewing this potion of antibiotic in her basement, it's like emitting fungal spores into the air. Is that what we're supposed to believe?
Apparently, and impacting, I guess, people who've had past respiratory issues.
Yes. So these like fungal, and what's his face? Doc knew exactly the type of fungus it was, like immediately.
Oh yeah, he's a genius.
He knows everything
right away.
Yeah.
What was it? I wrote it down. Aspergillosis or something like that.
Yeah. I wrote it down at some point. But yeah, some type of fungus that he knows. So like everybody.
Aspergillosis.
Okay.
I believe.
So now everybody who's like nearby, I don't know. So then the spores like travel on his person? Because like the postman's the only one who's like in the house to get the fungus, right? Like on him. And then is he spreading it?
Yes. I think
he the carrier?
Is the super
he's
spreader.
He's patient zero?
He's patient zero.
Oh no, Dave.
And he's going around since given his job.
Yeah. Okay.
But only 4 people.
That we know of. You never know. I mean, this could have been a whole town epidemic.
There could be dead bodies all over the place because this is such a small town. No one checks up on people except for Dave.
That's the thing is like how many other old ladies' houses did Dave go into carrying these spores on him? The old ladies get sick and nobody else is going to check on them. So like we don't know the body count right now.
We don't know.
We need an investigation into this episode.
And that cop, let me tell you, we hated on the cop earlier, but he was the one who went to the doc and said, look, I'm hearing that something's going down. There could be a real issue. You need to tell me so I can act. And Doc just brushes him off. But, you know, I got to agree with that cop. Like, something is going down. This is criminal activity that is going on. And Doc's like, oh, it's no big deal. I got this.
That's a great point. Like the police officer is actually doing his job correctly, right? Yeah. I mean, we know as people who have now survived a pandemic, like this is serious. Yes. This is like an actual like town crisis.
Yes.
Doc is not taking it seriously, which you think he would because he's clearly seeing, like, it was scary. Like, the way people are coming into his office and basically stopped breathing, to me, that was freaking me out. Like, I actually was genuinely concerned for these people, and he doesn't seem to think this is, like, they had to call an ambulance.
Right.
Like, he doesn't seem to think this is a big deal. I don't know.
And maybe it wasn't a big deal. Again, maybe this is just the impact of COVID on us.
Maybe.
Realizing that, you know, if this is happening, this is huge.
Yeah.
Like, you need to act right away, people.
I just feel like a serious coughing, like lung condition where people are basically unable to breathe. And like, I don't know, you have to like immediately rush into the hospital to revive them. It feels like something we should take more seriously, Doc.
And no one else in town is freaking out about this.
That we know about.
Obviously, this town is small. Everyone talks, obviously.
Yeah.
But no one else in town is freaking out.
No.
It would have been better. I would have liked to have seen a scene where the townsfolk were, you know, clamoring outside Doc's office about panicking and freaking out and wanting to know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what they should have been doing.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and then it's like, ultimately, do you feel like there's a resolution with the whole Beth and Janet thing? So like he catches Janet and is like, hey, you shouldn't be making your own antibiotics. But was there a resolution to that?
There really, aside from him saying, I'm taking Beth to the hospital.
Yeah, to hospital.
To hospital. Sorry. To hospital. No, it was a weird, I wrote this down, it was a weird switch, right? Because Janet was so steadfast in her belief that what she was doing was righteous.
Yes.
That what she was doing was, her research was right. And that everyone at her own old job were...
They were the crazy ones.
Past. Yes.
Yeah.
She was the genius. And even in that initial discussion in that cellar, she was defending herself. But then when he says, oh, but your spores are going through that vent and going out there and affecting people, she then quickly shifted and was like, oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. No. It
was an odd flip for me.
Yeah.
So it didn't pay off. And yeah, she should have been arrested.
That right? Like
she should have been arrested. Should have been the cops. He should have been leaving the house. Cops and ambulance are pulling up. Yes, the one cop, you know.
But like, this is a real question. Is it actually illegal to make your own? It is, right? To make your own drugs?
To run an unauthorized
right? That's
lab?
Illegal. Well, I don't know about Britain, but like in America, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. Yes, to have like a...
I would imagine so. To be creating your own pills and distributing them.
Yeah.
to, her sister,
Yeah.
that's got to be
Okay, yes.
illegal.
Okay, so yes, she should be arrested. Like there should be like I don't know, what do you call the squad of people who come to like
SWAT.
yeah, they should be coming to this house. Like
Yes.
get her, get this thing cleaned up. Yeah, like hazmat people should be here.
Yes,
Like this is the whole
hazmat
thing.
people should be showing up for sure.
Yeah, no. So I just feel like there really wasn't a resolution. I'm assuming now that Beth's going to hospital, like she's going to get her antibiotics and hopefully she'll be healed.
Yeah,
I
hopefully.
guess.
Well,
So,
we can
like,
only
that's-
assume, yes.
yeah,
I think we can assume that she gets healed and
Okay.
she's going to be better. And hopefully Dave will be able to finish that story for her.
I know, right? So, yeah, so there's, I guess, somewhat resolution on this like medical thing. So, like, that's ending. So, I guess all the people who are literally unable to breathe are going to be healed. And so, Doc saved the day.
Doc saved the day.
Okay, that's it.
Not only did he save the day there, but he also saved the day on Luisa's snoring.
I can't.
That was so terrible. So terrible that we end the episode with them cutely together, and he reaches in to give her a gift, and she's all excited, and it is a box of snoring strips for her nose.
Yeah. And he says, no, you're only supposed to wear them at night. And then, is that funny?
No, it wasn't funny at all.
Okay.
And the whole reason why, she's like, oh, I didn't know I snore. She goes, you do snore, and I need my sleep.
Yes.
I was like, you dickwad.
Yes. No, I don't know. Again, was this supposed to be funny? Like, and that was the end of the episode. Like, was
That was it.
Was that a clever ending?
That's it.
Hated it. I didn't think it was
It was
good.
a terrible ending.
I don't know.
It should have been her taking the ring off, throwing it back in her face, and going and finding Dave the postman.
Do you think they're going to get married?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, again, like, what other option does she have
What
at this
other
point?
option?
And also, at one point, she said, like, oh, there's an opening at the church in like 2 weeks. Like, should we take it and just go get married? So I guess
vicar
I guess
has an
the
opening.
vicar- Again, this is so British. I think it's happening.
It's happening.
Okay, we also have to talk about, is it Pauline is the like receptionist?
Oh, I loved her.
She's my favorite character.
Loved her.
Okay, she was the only one who I actually thought was entertaining and funny,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
exactly. And at the end, when she's talking about just trying everything she can to be made a bridesmaid.
Yes.
It was fantastic.
When she's like, can I be a bridesmaid? And Luis is just like, no, not going to have one at all. Sorry.
I don't want one. I already have one. And then she switches over. Well, Doc needs me up there. I'm like,
Yeah.
That's smart. Good
Yeah.
job, Pauline.
I loved Pauline. She was, to me, I guess, the actual only funny one / she was just fun to watch.
She was.
Everybody else, I don't know. It wasn't great.
Wasn't great.
I didn't love it.
I guess our final storyline really was the restaurant.
Yeah.
The old man whose name is
I don't know.
Bert,
Yeah.
who was that actor is still, I can't quite get where he's from, where I've seen him from, that old man. He's just been in so many things that I just can't quite pin down where I've seen him from.
You got to IMDb that.
I did IMDb it, and
And you
I
couldn't
still
figure it
can't
out?
figure it out.
He's
yeah.
probably just like generic old British white man.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, like that's probably just everybody looks like that.
I mean, my first go-to was Harry Potter, but I don't believe he was in Harry Potter.
Okay. Maybe
But-
we need to do some further research.
But yeah, him, and then I believe his son Al, and then the chef Mick, and yeah, I mean, all there is to say about this is, I guess they don't like ex-cons.
Yeah, so it turns out Mick is stealing from them, right?
Yes.
And then it turns out he's an ex-con.
Yeah, it was like setting up as like, okay, yeah, like so Mick is stealing from them, so Mick's the bad guy.
Yeah.
But then Mick's like, oh, I'm an ex-con. You told him, Doc? And Doc's like, no, I didn't say anything. And then Bert's like, what? You let this whoever ruffian
Yeah.
you didn't tell me, Doc? So now it seems there's like some prejudice against ex-cons in this small
For sure.
town.
For sure.
And then Mick's like, I was going to pay you back. So I was like, okay, make this guy a villain or don't make, or, make him not a villain. Make up your mind, show.
It just felt like such a random little side storyline that had no connection to anything else. I mean, maybe it's part of a larger arc that we don't know anything about, because it did seem like this is an ongoing thing where like the two younger guys hate each other or whatever. But for this episode, it just like among all the other things, like people are getting sick, like the guys who work in the restaurant are getting sick, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this one guy's stealing from you. Like what? Like it just felt so, I don't know, random.
It's a story arc that could have been developed more and used in another episode, I feel like.
Yeah.
That could have been
the
that could have been
a
story
yeah.
in another episode.
Exactly. And I didn't need it in this one.
Yeah, it was,
That's why we don't even need to talk about it.
Yeah.
It was irrelevant. Yeah, no. I mean, really, the big stuff here is the engagement, Doc and Louisa, and then this crazy antibiotic creating monster.
Mad scientist.
The mad scientist
Of Cornwall, or
did this episode inspire Carrie to start making her own antibiotics?
Oh yeah, you can't tell over here, around this corner here in our basement.
We've got a lab going.
We have a lab going.
This is why I'm
here.
coughing right now, because of all the spores. I figured it all out.
We have been secretly experimenting on you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, this you gave me this cup of tea, and it's really just they're trying out these medications on me.
It's fungal tea.
It's antifungal tea. They're trying to see how it goes. I am their test subject. Really, I feel safe here.
And then our singular police officer is going to show up at our house in a second here.
Yeah, and it'll all be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess that's the episode.
That's the episode. So, acting quality on a rating of A being the best acting quality there is and F being the absolute worst acting quality. What would you rate this acting in this episode?
I honestly don't even know how to judge British acting quality, because I honestly am just like, is this just British people being British, or is this acting? I don't know. I feel like I can't differentiate between just having a British accent and being an actor. I know that sounds, I'm just like, what is the difference? I don't know. Also, the only British TV I watch is like British reality, so I'm just like, that's my only context.
And that
for, like,
acting
watching.
is A+.
It's great. It is incredible acting on Love Island UK. I don't know, C+.
Yeah, I would give it,
It's fine.
It's fine. It's average.
Yeah.
No one was really, well, except for, I liked Beth's acting.
Sure. Okay.
And Janet really sold the mad
I don't know.
scientist.
It did feel like now that you said it's like very Goosebumps, like R.L. Stine. Like it does now. I'm seeing that whole like 90s Nickelodeon show.
Yeah.
Which I don't feel like is
like
A+ acting. So I'm sticking with my C+.
No, yeah, I think overall C+ across the board.
Yeah.
Doc, I don't know what he's supposed to be trying to do with his character.
Yeah.
Didn't like it.
No.
Yeah.
It was just awkward. But okay, this can I just interject with a larger question? This is a comedy, right? Like, what is this genre?
Great question.
Is it
I don't know.
Is it a comedy?
I don't know. I guess so.
Is it I wrote funny ? Mystery ? Like, what is the genre?
Yeah, I based on this episode, those two words probably come up as a comedy mystery.
But with a question mark, because was
With
it
a
actually?
question
I don't know. Yeah, no, I mean, when you found this show, was it marketed as a comedy?
I believe so.
Okay.
I do think it was marketed
like British
as a comedy.
people, I don't know, British humor. I don't get it. Maybe I just don't get it.
You just don't get it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's why I'm struggling with the acting quality grading, because is it supposed to be funny? Okay. Sure.
No, I don't think I laughed once in this whole episode.
No, I don't think so either.
So
I
if it is a
may have
comedy,
smiled. I smiled at what's her name, Pauline,
Yeah.
but that's the extent of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and then moving on to our rock rating. This is the representation of color scoring based on just that. How many POCs are in the episode? And yeah, this is another 0 out of 10.
Yeah.
I don't recall a single person of color in this episode.
No, none.
This is 2007 UK. This is post Love Actually.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
At least that had some POCs.
That
in
had some
there.
representation. No.
I'm just thinking about other British.
Yeah. No,
that
nothing
came
in
around
this.
this time, and yeah, there's no one in this one.
Yeah, nothing.
Which very well may be representative of small
a small
towns
town in
in
England.
UK, but
Yeah, maybe.
yeah, no.
Disappointing for television.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I have one final question that I think is super important.
Okay.
What is the title of this episode about?
Great question. No idea.
What does it have anything to do with? So first of all, is Nowt, N-O-W-T, a word?
I do not know.
Okay, so again, the episode title is Nowt So Queer. Like, I genuinely have no understanding of what that episode title has to do with any part of this show. And if Nowt, N-O-W-T, is a word. So that's my biggest mystery. That's my mystery takeaway. Varn's Googling it.
I'm Googling right now, and Nowt is Northern English, and it means nothing.
So nothing so queer? I don't,
Yeah.
but what is that supposed to mean?
I don't get it.
Is, like, in Britain, do they use the word queer differently than we do?
I don't know. I mean, I would think that maybe they do use it for, queer being more
Like strange?
different or strange.
So maybe it's about like how weird Janet was? I don't know.
I think so strange. I think so.
I don't know.
Weird.
This is honestly the biggest mystery. Like the number one question I have after watching this show. I watched the whole thing and then I went back and realized what the title was and was just like, I don't understand. What is this show? So, I mean, my ultimate takeaway is I don't even know what the show is.
I don't know.
I don't know in general what the show is. I don't know what episode this is. Like, I don't know anything about the show. I watched an entire episode and I still have no idea what the show is.
No, and when I chose this episode, I didn't choose this episode, I was randomly selected, and I saw the name of the episode. I was like, okay, this better have a payoff.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you asked this question because it did not have a payoff.
No.
I don't understand it. I don't get it.
No.
I don't see how it fits into what happened in the show.
Yeah. If you are listening to this and you are British and have any context for these words that are part of this title, please let us know.
Please let us know.
We need to have some British context for like what this title even means because we have no idea.
Yeah. Well, one more question.
Okay.
Did you like it?
No. I don't think I need to watch any more British comedy. I have no need to watch this in my life. I'm going to stick with my Love Island and Love is Blind and the shows that I know are going to be quality.
Quality.
What about you?
I didn't hate it.
Okay.
It did, again, once I got into the mindset of feeling that this is like a Goosebumps show.
I
was
only
like,
liked it because it reminded me
"This
of Goosebumps.
of my childhood Goosebumps show, which I do still watch around spooky season.
Is Goosebumps still like the original Goosebumps?
Yeah, like the TV show, yeah.
Where do you find that?
Last it was on Netflix.
I honestly, to this day, I don't think I would watch Goosebumps because I think it would still terrify me. Like as a child,
It is still terrifying.
I would never have ever put that on as a child or read the books as a child, and I think even to this day, I would not.
You didn't watch it as a child?
No, too scary. Like all the scary stuff. Like no way. I honestly think it would be too scary for me as an adult today.
Well, did you know that Ryan Gosling was on an episode of Goosebumps?
I believe that. I did not know that, but I definitely believe that.
Yeah, that's where he got
Maybe I'll watch that one.
That's where he got his acting start. I just don't know
No,
if that's
wasn't
true.
he like Mickey Mouse Club or something? I don't know. That's Justin Timberlake. I don't know. It's whatever. Regardless, I love that you only like this episode because it reminds you of Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Love that for you.
Pretty much. And so I didn't hate it. It kept me going, kept me wanting to find out what's going to happen at the end
Okay.
because of the whole creepy scientist. And
Yeah.
obviously my wife being a creepy scientist herself.
That's true. Yeah, you did have that
So I
personal
related
connection. Yeah.
big time with this.
You are you're like, this is what my future beholds.
I'm Beth.
I am
I'm Beth.
married.
Hospital!
I live with a research scientist. I'm not allowed to go to the doctor. My wife makes my medication for me.
Please, Chrissy, take me to the hospital right now.
Varn needs to go to hospital. So I think that's it. We got to go. Varn,
That's it.
let's go hospital.
That's it. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Remember to follow us and come back next week for our next random episode.
Bye.